Well, welcome everybody to our Cafe Better Sport, and it's a huge weekend, massive. We've got the Europa League Final on Friday night, Champions League Final on Sunday night, and, well, an Italian club, and more importantly, Inter in the final. So, obviously I'm going to find Stefano, and I have found him, Stefano Vigoriti, and we appreciate Stefano joining us. He's actually on some trip finally, because of course provincial travel has been opened up. So welcome, Stefano. You're down in KZN, eh?
Yes, I'm in Pietermaritzburg, just below the Midlands. Beautiful place, but pretty chilly at night.
Yeah, well, it's South Africa in winter, we know about that. So as I already told you, before Inter got through to the final, I was thinking to myself, it's just a question of time before I give Stefano a chance to chat to us. But I didn't want to bad luck you prior to the semi-final, just in case there was a...
Wise choice. Wise choice.
It was. But, I mean, having said that, Inter have looked fantastic. And it's going to be a great final. We'll talk about Sevilla in a moment. But an interesting season for your beloved Inter, because they started very well. And then they seemed to lose the plot in the middle of the season and dropped out of contention in Serie A. But now they've come back strong, and this would be a wonderful way to end the season.
Yes, especially after, the comments that Conte made towards the end of the season, where obviously it was clear that Inter was not going to sort of be a contestant or contending right until the last minute Juventus for the Scudetto. Even though obviously coming up a one point behind Juventus is not really true reflection, because the last two games, actually three games, Juventus just gave it away, and obviously they lost interest, but trying to concentrate on the Champions League, see where that got them. So it didn't get them anywhere by allowing Lyon to go through. Inter did well this year. It's a new philosophy. Conte brings a new way of playing football, a new way of even coaching. I mean, especially during lockdown, we were able to see how much he remote controls the team. He basically tells every time there is a pass, where to pass it, who to pass it to, how long to run, where to go, and is a constant commentary. I mean, it would be interesting to just hear him throughout the 90 minutes. And it's amazing how he doesn't lose his voice completely at the end of each game. But having said that, he's brought in some, Handanovic has called it azzimma, which in Italian, it's really not a good word, but it's not a swear word. It's that oomph, that hiss that the Afrikaans people, speak about.
There's a passion there,
and,
passion.
Yeah, the passion has always been there, but with the passion, it always came the stigma of being a crazy Inter. But saying, always at the very important sort of points, they always would lose the plot, they would always disappoint, and obviously they showed that towards the end of the season by not being true contenders. But they seem to have found their rhythm at the moment, and certainly it's not going to be easy tomorrow night against Sevilla. But having seen the last three games and having basically considered the goal in the last 6 games, that bids well for a good finish, and hopefully a strong finish by providing Conte with his first ever European trophy.
And of course,
as a coach.
As a coach, yes. You're up against a Sevilla side who have got a remarkable pedigree in this competition. It's uncanny. They've just got a love affair with the Europa League, so never mind about their footballing ability, and they've got plenty of that. But you've got to prize those Sevilla hands off that trophy. That is as interesting as much. They've won it so many times.
Yes, I think they won it 3 times consecutively between 2013 and 2016, and overall 6 times. So, Inter has won the UEFA Cup, which is basically the similar sort of the new Europa League trophy 3 times in the last, let's say in the last 20 years, actually a bit more, 30 years. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. They have got a very, very, very good team up front. Especially I like Ocampos very, very much. And it's I think we have what it takes if the approach to the game is going to be the same approach that they've done with Bayer Leverkusen, where they sort of suffered a little bit, the aggressiveness and the ball possession of Bayer Leverkusen. But then they definitely came out with strength, their physicity, and obviously probably a better sort of form, because in the second half they really ran away with it, like they did with Shakhtar Donetsk, who it was a test. Everybody thought they're going to give them a hard time with the Brazilians and with the ball possessions, but we know now in football that we are sort of going back to the old school. It doesn't really matter tiki-taka, how long the possession is what you do with the ball. And if you can play an attractive counter-attack and an efficient and effective counter-attack by way of pressing high, then you will eventually get results, just like Inter is doing at the moment.
Looking at the Inter season, so you spoke about Conte arriving. For me, Lukaku has been sensational, and I perceive it that Inter play to his strengths. He's physical, he's strong, and you've got that duo up front who have teamed up beautifully. So that must give you a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. I think that the confidence at the beginning of the year was mainly at the back, where we had a very strong duo in De Vrij and Skriniar, who has fallen back a little bit in the play order with Conte by having given Godin a little bit more space, and having found the gem of Bastoni, who is a young, 21 years old, but he's playing like a veteran, and he's really playing very, very well. So that was the strength at the very beginning, with Andanovic obviously governing that side. And at the very beginning, I must be honest, I was in San Siro. I watched the first or the second game that Lukaku played. I think it was September, October, and it looked heavy. It looked out of sorts. It was, not really doing the right runs by allowing them, the long balls. It was not really allowing the team to come to them by holding the ball too long. All of that is gone. All of that is gone. The mechanism have started working. Lukaku still plays very much like the lone striker, playing with the back, to the goals, holding the ball, allowing sort of Lautaro Martinez to do the runs. And we have seen many, many goals from the wings. I mean, Young for one since he came in January, D'Ambrosio, Candreva, Biraghi, they've been scoring a lot by utilizing that duo, who is literally always needs a third man to be defended against. They seem to be unstoppable, and especially combining very well in the short space. They've had excellent results. And yes, it was a slow, let's call it slow love affair, but definitely it's fully blown now to be a full-on love affair with Lukaku and the fans of Inter, as well as obviously Lautaro, who's just now come back into being the player that we really appreciated at the beginning of the season, scoring freely.
So this is, we're in the cafe, the Better Cafe, and this is where you need to help our viewers, because I'm going to ask you for a scoreline, but first of all, punters often want to know if they're going to be goals in the game. Now we know, as well as I do, it's a Europa League final. Normally these are cagey affairs. How do you see the two sides playing each other out? Do you see a free scoring game?
No, but you see, this because of COVID-19, all these games have been one-offs, which we were all worried that they wouldn't have provided the necessary showmanship or being spectacular. And it's been all but, it's been really, really good to look at these games where everybody's gone up against one another, and they really played from the word go, because it's obviously a one-off. It's a once-off game. So they really gave it their all. Having said that, it finally is always different. It's always got that much more of a aura of the worry, start slow, pick up the pace, and all the rest. Having said that, Inter has not really considered, we might concede. I mean, Sevilla definitely will probably score one goal. I see Inter, though, scoring more than one. And obviously, my prediction is coming from the heart more than from the head. But I'm pretty confident that with my head as well, that Inter has the ability and the capability and the mental strength, barring some unbelievable bad showing on the night, that we can actually be, the best losers after the Champions League in Europe. Because let's face it, the Europa League is your losers' final, whichever way you look at it. Even though it's always nice to have a trophy to take home.
Yeah. So you're going for? Would you go for 2-1 or 3-1 to Inter?
Look, if you'll pay me lunch if it ends 3-1, I see it being 3-1, and I even seeing the possibility of Sevilla going up at the beginning, and then Inter just taking over. Maybe I'm just sort of elaborating here. Maybe 1-1 towards the end of the first half, and then in the second half taking it over. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tight affair. I see a lot of physicality. The Sevilla forwards are not strong, but they're fast. So they will probably play on that strength, and trying to beat the likes of Godin on the right. Not so much De Vrij and Bastoni, but they will sort of aim for Godin on the left-hand side where Ocampos likes to go. And literally, I mean, we've got an ex, which the Inter fans always loved, Ever Banega. I mean, Ever Banega can make anything happen from any sort of free kick or any sort of indirect kick. So we have to be wary also of that. Having said that, I love the fact that Sensi has come back into the fold after many, many injuries. Barella is playing like a true gladiator in the middle of the field. That Gagliardini has gotten back the confidence that one player can only have if he plays consistently. He's made many mistakes this year, but again, he's a youngster. He's 24, 25 at that age, and playing with in such a big arena, and sort of fending for the championship like they did throughout the year. It has been quite daunting. And at the end of the day, you've got the old Brozovic who's doing a great job of sort of alla Pirlo, let's call it, sort of modeling and building everything from the back. So we do have better players overall, okay, or let's say more renowned players or more quality players. But Sevilla is a very, very strong team in Europe. Look, they haven't fared well in the La Liga, not as well as they expected it to. So for them, it's of paramount importance to make it to obviously going into the Champions League. Inter is already in the Champions League because they came second in Serie A. So, but I do think that will probably be an added motivation, if not obviously for the trophy itself.
Well, I think you're spot on, and that's why it's such a beautiful final, because it's perfectly poised. Really is perfectly poised. Sevilla's needs in terms of qualifying for Champions League are there, and you've got certainly Inter will be disappointed with the middle part of their season. So there's so much to play for with both. Stefano, it's always a pleasure chatting to you. I'm going to let you go because it's getting darker in a moment. We're just going to see your grey beard down there in Peterborough.
Absolutely. I'm trying to make it probably like this is a little bit better.
There you go. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Well, not too much.
Don't go jumping into the swimming pool because you'll have pneumonia by Monday.
Don't worry. I won't make that mistake. But you and I, if I'm spot on, you are paying for lunch.
Okay, 3-1, eh? This is what you're going for. There we go. Stefano going for 3-1.
It's a wish.
To beat Sevilla. Well, let's hope it's an accurate wish. Always a pleasure talking to you, good friend. And it's the Europa League final. It is on Friday night. It's between the Spanish and the Italians. And it's going to be a rip-roaring game. 3-1, says Stefano, to Inter.